Hey everybody, welcome to Scott Space. Today I'm going to do a beginner's guide for Elemental Reforged. Now, a couple of things to say about this before we start. This is an alpha version of the game, so this is created in November, late October, early November 2025. If you're watching this video mid to late 2026, the game has changed drastically. At least we all hope so. I'm sure it will. So you shouldn't be watching this video. I'm sure I have a new video already. But for anybody who's trying the alpha and wants to understand how the game works, this is the video to watch. I will try to outline as we go things that I suspect will change pretty quickly. And so as the video ages, you can probably ignore those sections or just know that those sections have changed. And I'm going to put chapters in here to help you jump to certain sections, okay? All right, so we're going to start a new game. Okay, so I'm going to create a new sovereign, and I also at the same time have to create a new faction. They're all on the same screen, so you can't do them separately. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually pick my faction, okay? I'm going to create a new faction. Okay, you get 3 points total. Now, if you go to weaknesses, I'm going to pick vulnerable to magic. I just find it's the least egregious of all these. You definitely don't want this one. Unrest is a super important thing, as is research. But this one's a pretty good one to take to give me that extra point. That's important to me. Okay. And then of all of these, some of the ones I like the most are archers. And I don't know if they've nerfed this at all, but archers are pretty strong when you take this and you get this special longbow at the end. It's really powerful. And master scouts means you don't pay any movement penalties with terrain, and I think that's a big important one. Kingdom or Empire. Kingdoms are like the good guys, empires are the bad guys. Pick a crest here, whatever you want to do. I don't want to spend a lot of time on details like this. You can of course do it yourself. I like men in general. This has a +10 experience. Again, I'm focused on an experience build, as you'll see as I go, and training henchmen super important. And you get this Russian combat, which is a big part of how I play. So I like to pick men every time I play. Oh yeah, so you want to take, this is new, so you want to take one of these lores because this gives you recipes. So I'm going to go with the Umber Shadowcraft. I like to play with assassins, and I just like a lot of these recipes here. But I haven't played it before, so this is kind of new for me, so you'll see how that works out. So now I'm down to 1 point. I wanted to pick those two, my super important ones. And then the last one I'm going to take is probably going to be scholars, because I'm going for research and I'm going for experience. Okay. All right. And then we'll save this faction. Oh, they changed the crest on me. I don't know why. Not that I really care that much about it. I think the one I like to use is, yeah, that one. Okay. Okay. So now that okay, there it is. So now that I've grabbed that one, I'm going to pick a hero that I am going to pick the name. All right. And then I'm going to pick the attributes for this. Gender male attributes. Okay. So it's really important to take one of these. And because my main character may end up being the mage that I have for my party, the main mage I have for my party, the two I like is earth and water. Earth gives me better production. Not water, excuse me, life. Earth and life. Earth gives me production, and life gives me heal, which is super important, particularly early game. So I'm going to take that one. And then of all these, I'm going to take this general 25% experience. So the reason for this is when you watch other people's videos on this, they'll tell you, do not put put all your heroes into one army. I like to do that for a number of reasons. It's stronger. I can take on tougher quests early on. But the problem is that your experience gets split among your heroes, where if they're in different stacks doing different things, you can level them quicker. But you can counterbalance this to some degree with this trait, as well as other traits that I'm going to take and other techniques and tactics I'm going to use. So that's what I like to do. It is not the necessarily best way to play, the most powerful way to play if you want to. I think Scholar here with 20% research is really powerful too. But I'm going to do this one, and that's how I like to play. I like to keep all my heroes in one stack. Now, again, not that that's the most powerful way to play. All right, and then talents. I'm going to also take the weakness that I talked about earlier, which is vulnerable to magic. And then back to what I said earlier, I want experience to be a big deal here. I want to level quickly. So I'm going to take that one. And I'm also going to take +1 to initiative. I'm going to take mana, because I'm always short of mana. +2 mana early on is really, really powerful. That leaves me with 2 points. I've got one more. I'm probably going to do +3 attack. I don't know how well these work since they've changed the game. I do like Treasure Hunter a lot, but I don't know how well that's worked. So I'm going to take Might, +3 attack. Always good to have an extra +3 attack. Now, I kept 1 point here on purpose. When we go to appearance, I don't really care about this. But when we go to the equipment here it is. I definitely know you start with this rusty short sword or some other weak weapons. That's really terrible. So I'm really going to spend that point here, which is super important. And then this thing is cost 0. I don't know why. Enchantments on this unit have no maintenance. But that's super, super important. That'll save you a ton of mana. And there are other accessories which you could spend money on. These all cost 1 each. They're fine, but they're not important. I can get them later. Yeah, I don't know why. Okay, that one, I don't know if that's a bug or whatever. Why is that one 0 and this one's not? But I'm taking it anyway. And then we did the clothes. Don't care about the head so much. Just going to leave it like this. Actually, maybe I'll put the beard on him. Okay, yeah, I kind of always played with the beard before. And then we're done. Okay, I mean, you can spend your time customizing all the stuff. You don't need that. And then if you wanted to do a dynasty here, you're welcome to do this. And I'm just going to use the default one because I want to just talk about playing. Okay. And then you've got some background again, all unimportant things here. Okay, so here's all my final stats. I'm going to save this character, and then I'm going to play with that character, which I think it will default with now that I selected it. Okay, so pretty quick version of that. You're welcome to play around with things like that. That's not necessarily the most powerful setup, but it's kind of the way I like to play. I'm not going to put this on ridiculous, but I'm going to tell you right now that normal is way too easy. I'm going to just put on hard. You don't have to do that when you're first playing here, but you'll see even in this, it's going to be pretty easy. And because I want to experience a lot of things in the game, you can keep everything on average and default here. But although I will always recommend mountainous because it kind of breaks the map up a little bit. And so you can kind of have some regions where you can defend easier. So I do like that setting. Everything else is not so important, but I'm putting them on plenty and above average because I want to show you some of the features in the game, including random events. So the more often they come up, the more I can show you stuff. But you can play with those all on default. Okay, and then same thing here. You can leave all these victory selected. In fact, I'll do that now by default. And you want to keep this number of opponents relatively low. Oh yeah, and the difficulty here, you want to put this back to I'm going to put it 2 levels high. You can leave it on normal, but it's going to be a super, super easy game if you do that. And I'll leave number of opponents as 5. Again, everything default here is fine for you're playing this the first time. I'm just kind of showing you what I'm doing here. Okay, and let's get started. Okay, so that was the setting up a hero and a kingdom faction. And then let's throw you into the world, right? Okay, so there's a little intro here. You can read that on your own. Tells you your traits and things. Okay, so basically, you're in a world that's been destroyed. Oh, by the way, great thing to watch here is under the help here. Right, you can go through this, and the developer goes through, you know, all these different things about the background and things. So I won't spend a ton of time on that. Feel free to do it on your own. But basically, what I'm doing is I'm starting here, and it's a world that's been destroyed more or less, and me and 5 other factions are all going to start building a city and then exploring, fighting monsters, getting new heroes and allies. Building armies, and then eventually meeting all the other factions and either, getting one of the victory conditions through either combat or through other means, which we'll talk about. But basically, you're, just like Civ, sense of the overall picture of what you're going to do, right? All right. So the next thing you want to do is you're going to hit this settle button. So the first city is settled by your sovereign here. Okay. After that, you have to build pioneers to make cities. So picking your initial city selection is super important. So I'm going to put up a chart here that shows you all of the resources, and I'm not going to go through all of them right now. As we go through the game, I will, but here's the chart of all the different resources that you might find around. You won't see many of them here. There's one here. This is metal. And I think that is wargs. Yeah, so metal and wargs here. But what I'm really looking for is these clay pits. Okay, I'm looking for clay pits. Also very powerful is having one of the shards. This is what produces mana and magic. In fact, if you go here at the top of the screen, you'll see my mana +3 per turn. The more shards that I harvest, the more mana I get. And I need mana to cast spells and to do some other things as well. Okay, but, and by the way, this will change. Right now, when you're not selected, you won't see the yields here, but when you have your sovereign selected, you will see them. So this is a really lousy start. So these numbers, what they mean is the first number in the upper left is food, the second number is production, and the third number is essence, which allows how many enchantments you can put on a city. We'll talk about enchantments in a little bit. Basically, you don't, for your first game, or actually anytime I play, I won't play when these numbers are less than 8. So you can see this one here is a 7. I usually will not play with anything less than an 8. There's as high as 9, and that's about as high as it gets, 8 and 9. So I always want to get at least 8. If you find a 9, that's wonderful. It does happen once in a while. Now, the next thing you want to know is which of these is most important. So the most important one here is production, because if you have a high production, then you can build other buildings and improvements that will give you more food. And there's even improvements to, that will make you grow quicker, and then sometimes, depending upon which kind of city you build, you can actually get more essence. But my point is, production is number one. So I never, ever play with a production of 1, 2. I shouldn't say never. Almost never start a game with a production of 3. Unless there's a lot of other resources that will help me increase my production. There are none in this vicinity here at all. So I do not like any of these starts, and I'm going to hit Control-N and restart the map generation. And you can do this as many times as you want until you load the game. Okay, but I'm going to show you some various ones here. Okay, so here you can see these are really good in production. They have 5, but a 1 is super low in food, and it will be very hard for your city to grow to a second level. Cities can grow into I think it's 5 levels. I can't remember, 4 or 5 levels. And when each level gives them a special bonus. So you don't want your food to be super low. So as a general rule, I do not use 1 and 2s for either number. The essence, you can have 0 or 1 or whatever. But for the food, I never use a 2 or a 1. And again, rarely, unless something unique came up. And I never use, for production, I never use anything but a 4 or higher. All right, so I don't like this start either, so I'm going to start again. And keep going until I find something that I like. Okay, so 3-3-3 is very nice. It's one of the rare exceptions where I will take a 3 for production, but that's only if there's other production in the vicinity to help. In other words, resources that'll help me, or forest, because if you're next to woods, you also can build unique buildings that will help you grow. There's none of that here, so I'm going to restart it again. And there's nothing good here. Now, another thing you do, which you never want to do in Civ 7, for example, is you can walk around for a little bit and explore. And of course, the Control-N will still work. And you might find a better situation, but I didn't, so I'm going to keep going. Now, there are 2 terrain effects while we're waiting for this to, okay, this looks much better. There are 2 terrain effects that help you, that give you unique buildings. One of them is being next to, in diagonal included, although with diagonal you have to, what's called snake to it. You have to build buildings to extend your city. But if you're next to woods, or if you're next to a river, both of them individually, separately, provide unique buildings that give you either production or more money or more food. And eventually both of them will give you more production. So it's always an advantage, particularly if your numbers aren't to your liking. But if you're next to woods, primarily, and of course also next to rivers, to give you an extra bonus. So this 2-5 is very, very tempting. I don't like 2 food, and I'll have to do a lot of compensation. But there is a bonus here. So this is called wild grain. When I put a farm there, although it's pretty far away, I can also put a outpost. We'll talk about that later. I could get some more food. So that makes this 2-5 a little more inviting. I know it's not quite 8, it's 7. But a 5 is super powerful production, and it's next to woods, which makes it even more powerful. The other thing I like too is wild horses, which is one of the most important resources from my play style, at least. So I think we're going to go there, even though I don't love it, and we're going to start it there. And I'm going to make my first city. I'm just going to take a quick look around. Yeah, nothing else here. Okay, so let me show you really quick a bunch of other starts here that would be great and why they're great. Okay, so let's take a look at this first one here I put on the screen. So this one is a 3-5. Now, again, it's 8. Like I always like to shoot for at least 8. I like the production's more important. I do not like not having an essence. If you can get an essence, it's really cool. And I actually may restart because I do want to show you what essence does. So I may change my mind for this run through. But normally I would take that 2-5 in the original screen. So here it's a 3-5, right? Even better. So not only is it a 3-5 next to woods. In other words, if I put the city here when I'm next to woods, I'm going to get extra production buildings. I'm also directly next to, I can build right next to a wild grain, which means that 3 food is going to become a 4. So that's a great start. Let me show you another great start. So this one is a 4-4. It's an 8, as I mentioned. It's next to wood, so I'm going to get extra production buildings. It's diagonally next to a river, which means initially I can't. But if I just expand slowly by placing buildings manually, I will eventually be able to get the access to the river, and then I'll be able to get the river buildings as well. And most importantly is this clay tile. This clay tile is going to make this 4-4 become a 4-5. And of course, with the buildings from the woods and the buildings from the river, that's going to be a super powerful start there. All right, and this last one, just to show you a little focus and what, like I said, one of the exceptions. This one's great for a few reasons. First of all, it's only a 2-3. The food is really the weakest part of this one, and that's going to slow your growth tremendously. But it's got and the 3 production is very, very weak, but it is next to woods, so that 3 production is going to get supplemented by unique buildings that you can only build when you're next to woods. And the 4 for the essence is amazingly crazy high. And there's one of the things we can do for this is produce a lot of extra mana, which is super powerful. And you can have 4 different enchantments, and I'll show you that when we build our first city. So that's a crazy, crazy good, well, I shouldn't say crazy good start. You're going to be suffering from production, but you would make that a science-focused city, and that would be really good. Okay, and the last one here is a 4-4-1. That's a 9. We don't see too many of those. So this would probably be my favorite of all of them. It's a 4-4-1. I'm going to get 1 enchantment, which is great. It's next to a food, so it's really going to become a 5-4. And it's next to woods, which is going to give me production boost. So that's another great start. Okay, well, anyway, let's go back to our game here. And I do want to restart again because I did want to. Normally I would start a game here. That was not too bad, but I do want to show you about essence. So as part of learning, we need to do that. Okay. So yeah, I'm going to go with this 2-4-1. I know people will be screaming at me that they would do 3-3-3, but I really like production, and this is going to give me not only a 4 production, but next to woods is going to make a big difference. So I'm going to build my first city here. Oh, the other thing you want to make sure is that you don't build it too close to a strong. This is a weak enemy, so I'm not worried about this. I'll be able to take these guys out pretty quickly. But you don't want to start next to a super strong creature that you can't kill early game, and you can only kill in mid or late game, because it's possibly could you lose your city that way. So that's another thing to be careful about. All right, anyway, I'm going to settle my city here. So you press settle. And then we'll talk about city production, and we'll talk about a bunch of things. So the first thing I want to do is I have an open slot. So you can see, by the way, all the other yields around this do not matter. It's only the yield that you place it on. That will be changing from what I understand in the future. So by the time you watch this video in 2026, it may not be valid anymore. But right now, it only uses the benefit of those. The numbers around it on the immediately surrounding area did not matter at all. The terrain does, and mostly the only terrain that matters is the woods and the rivers. Okay. So anyway, so now I have my city here, but remember it had 1 essence, which means it has 1 empty slot. So you can see there's a little dip up here in the top. So you go over here to show spellbook, okay? And you click on it, and all of these enhancements here are available for city enhancements. And some of them have an effect like this one per essence. So if I had a 4 essence, like I showed you the other one, this would be super powerful to give you +4 mana per turn. But I only have one essence, so this is only going to produce one. Most of these, though, are not dependent, like this one, which we're going to work towards, not dependent on the number of essence that you have in the city. This is our ultimate goal. I don't have enough mana for this. I only have 40. If you look at the top of the screen there, I will soon have this. But while I'm waiting for this, I'm going to pick this free one. This costs 0 to cast, unlike this one. And there you go. I have it. And you can see it here. If you double click on the city, you can also see it here. And that's how you dismiss it as well, which I will want to do very quickly. So at least I'm getting 1 mana per turn. So with my built-in 3 that I picked as part of my sovereign, I get +4. So I will have enough in 2 turns to make this much more focused on science. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is talk about production. So if we go to the build icon here, you can either build a building or train a unit. So we're going to go to build, and I'm going to pick, now there's the unique building I talked about. By being next to woods, I have this thing called logging camp, which makes for better production. And I like to do that right away. Okay, and then the second thing I want to do is this thing called Tower of Dominion. The reason for that is it gives you fame. So let's talk about fame. So this is going to give me +5 fame. Fame, just click on the building and we're going to close this down. Fame, which is indicated right here, as it goes up, right? It says next champion at 3 fame. As this goes up, this fame will introduce heroes for you to choose from, and you'll get a 2nd hero, a 3rd hero, a 4th hero, a 5th hero. So heroes are like free units, right? And so you want to get them as quickly as possible, and that's one of the first things I do. Okay. Also, by completing quests and even defeating creatures, your fame can go up, and it's possible that by the time this building is ready, I won't need the 5 fame, but it also gives me +1 growth, which I like. This might not be the smartest thing to do in this one, because if you remember, my grain is only 2 here. So growth is going to be limited by food. So grain produces food. Here you can see my food. And as my population grows, it's going to use more of this, and then it's eventually going to become stagnant until I build buildings that provide more food. So this actually might not be the smartest thing, but it is my default move, so I'm going to keep it. Okay, so we want to build fame from that building. Other buildings will produce fame as well. I get fame from killing things and from going to these goodie huts and grabbing items. I'm sorry, for doing quests, not for grabbing items. So for doing quests, which are not these, but you'll see as I move through the map other things. So our fame will just kind of naturally go up as we play the game, and then we'll get more creatures. Then the last thing I've got to manage here is research per turn. Okay, total research. Right now we're only producing 1 research. I'm going to change this enchantment very soon so I can produce 3 research. But in the meantime, I'm going to click on research and pick from these 3 trees of types of research what I want to get. Now, there's a very, very powerful thing called the Great Mill, which I like to get in construction. So I usually follow this path pretty quickly. I will jump to other paths. It's very important to get training here, which gives you an extra unit in your army, because armies are limited in size, and leatherworking gives you much stronger units. Magic, shard harvesting is super important. I don't have any shards next to my city here, but if you did, this would be super important to do early also. That'll get you mana. But like I said, I've got some built-in mana production. I'm not so worried about this. And sorcery has this thing called Tireless March, which used to be more important. It's still important, which makes your units move 1 faster. So I like this tree. These are the 3 trees you'll see me working on. But right now, we're going to start in civilization, and I'm going to pick restoration. And then I'll finally move up this tree, depending upon what happens in the game. But I have to pick some kind of technology. It's going to take 15 turns, but you'll see that'll update as we get more and more research. Buildings will help you with the research. There are some improvements that will help you in the environment here that you can build on. Okay, so then after I've got my research going, and after I've done my production, I'm going to start grabbing with my, I don't really want to fight anybody right now. I'm very weak right now. I want to start grabbing these goodie huts, which are basically free items. Okay, or sometimes they're money. So let's click on the first one, right click to move. Okay, it's a shield. That's, in fact, incredibly useful for me early on, so I was very lucky. You can hit the equip button, but you can also go to your sovereign here and hit equip, and you'll get to the inventory screen. Okay, so this might, if I hadn't done what I did before, this would have just showed up here in my armor. And there's, you scroll down, there's a whole bunch of items that will fill these slots here. So when it's here, it's equipped. When it's here, it's not. So had I not pressed equip, then I would just grab the item. I can always go to the screen and double click, or I think I can drag it to, no, I can't. I got to double click. If I had more heroes here, I could use a right arrow and look at the other heroes and give them equipment. But this inventory is shared among all your heroes, which, by the way, is new to the game, which is a huge improvement. This also gives you my stats. You can see I can move 4. I've got a decent defense and attack. There's that +3 we took earlier in the game, that physical attack bonus. Spell mastery helps to make sure that your spells actually work or they affect your enemies. And initiative, which as you can see, both my item and that tactician skill gives me a plus. That just means that you go first, but not just first, you also go more often. In some games, right, everybody goes through and it gets 1 turn, but not here. You'll see sometimes I'll get 2 turns before somebody else gets a turn, depending upon my initiative and their initiative. Okay, we'll talk about skills. These will update as I level. There's my, the traits will, the traits will, and then, of course, that's not important. All right, and then there's my sharp dagger. Remember, I picked that. So now I have a very strong start. I actually could fight some creatures now because I have a very strong weapon for early game, and I've got a very strong 5 defense. I just went from 0 defense to 5 super fast here, and that's great. That'll reduce damage incoming to me. Okay. I don't think I could, well, I don't know. I might be able to take those guys out. I'm not going to try it. So I'm going to keep going. I'm going to wait probably till I get my next hero. Okay, my movement is up. So first turn, we settled a city. You may want to take 2 turns. You may want to explore around a little bit. That's fine. So we picked a place. We settled a city. We set our research. We set our production for our city. And right now this logging camp is going to increase my production, which is super important. And then we took our sovereign and we moved around and grabbed as many of these goody huts as I can. Avoiding monsters. If you end next to a monster, there's a small chance, or not so small, that they will attack you. So you always want to end up, particularly early game, not next to a monster. Not next to a creature here. Okay? These are quests. We'll get to those in a second. I will go in that direction soon, but I'm just going to grab this free goody hut here, and I do want to look around a little bit. So that's my first turn. If that should be pretty straightforward at this point. I'm not going to do anything other than continue to do this, so I'll talk about this. Now, you see this little indicator here. That's because I have a resource. This is crystal. Crystal allows you to make, for your units, for example, to equip them with all kinds of miscellaneous equipment to make them stronger. It is very important. I do want to build this relatively soon. And the other resource that's not exactly, I think, oh, maybe am I wrong? I thought that's gold there. It might be. I think that's gold behind. It's being hidden by this goody hut here. I think when I take that goody hut, that will be gold. That just gives you more income. All right, so let me continue my moves. I'm going to move here. I'm going to grab this goody hut, and let's see what we got. Okay, so as you can see, I wasted that 1 point. This can happen. It's unlikely to happen. But basically, I picked up an identical weapon, so I could have had an extra point spent somewhere else. You just don't know that, so that's. There it is. It's the same one. So dumb luck. But that 99 out of 100 times, you won't get a good weapon just by walking around your capital settlement. So, it's just bad luck on my part. I will say that my next hero might have a lousy weapon, and we may take a look to see, right? I'm just taking a look. Oh, by the way, if you zoom way out, you get this kind of cool cloth map effect, which has always been a signature of this series here. Okay, I have one more move. I'm not going to keep going down here. I want to get back up to here where I know there's some useful things, so I'm going to head in this direction here. If you click ahead, it will path there. It's kind of dangerous to do because sometimes the number's off. I'm sure they'll fix that eventually. But, you might think you're going to make it somewhere and you don't quite make it. That's left over from the old Fallen Enchantress, which this game is based on. Okay, I'm going to end my turn. You can see my logging camp is 1 away. And then I'm going to keep going. 1, 2... Now, careful here. You do get a little boost of moving through your city. I think I can make it here. Not that I'm really worried about these wolves. Okay, let's see what we got. Okay, so this gives me extra defense. Now, I may not need this. I may end up... So if I use this book, I get +1 dodge. I want to save this for my mage, because mage tend to be targeted by archers. So I may become a mage, I may not. I haven't decided yet. It depends on my first hero. So I'm not going to actually double click this and add one to my dodge. But if you get a book like this, if you just double click on it, it doesn't equip it, it uses it up. And then your dodge here, which is +5 for me, or is 5 for me, right? Penalty to my enemy's chance to hit will go up by 1. It'll make me a little bit harder to hit. Okay. And I think that's the end of my turn. So I'm going to hit turn again. All right. And I believe when I click on this goody hut, okay, that's good. Wow, that's really good. Okay. So let me double click on, let me hit the equip button. Oh, yeah, I must be a mage. So I can't use this yet, but when I do get a mage, either I will become a mage or my first hero will become a mage. I will definitely use this. So that's a very good early find. These are really, really lucky early finds here. Okay, I think I could take those guys, but I'm going to just wait. I'm not in a huge rush here. Okay, so this is a quest. You can see it by the scroll icon here. When I click on this, it's going to get, and it's a weak one. If you always want to stick to weak, like I do not want to click on this one's called strong. That's super dangerous. But these two are weak or medium. Medium's a big risk too, actually. But weak you can always do. That's very low risk. So I'm going to click on this one. I'm going to go to there, and then I'm going to get a quest, right? And it will tell you some things. So here it's saying, stopping bandits, you know, my soldiers will join you. So you're going to get a free unit. And here's the unit, right? The reward is a group of archers. So these guys are really cool. They're not that strong, but it's nice to have a free archer unit. So I'm totally going to do this. And then after that, it says, okay, you've got to do something. So defeat the bandit. So it actually scrolls the map temporarily to this location and tells you that's where you've got to go to complete the quest. Okay. Now, unfortunately, and this is relatively new to this game, they put it really far away. And because there's a mountain here, although I think I can probably slip through down here, I will not be rushing to do this. And you can see, even though the quest was weak when it started, it's now turned into a medium quest based on the type of creature you'll have to fight to complete the quest. So we're going to basically go to that bandit camp and fight a pretty tough group of guys that we'll need to kill before we get the result. And many times you'll have to go back to the original position here. Now notice it's turned white, meaning you've already selected that quest. So after you finish this, sometimes it finishes the quest at the location, but in this particular one, I know for a fact you have to come back. So it's going to be a long trip there and back. I'm not going to be doing that right away. All right, and I've got 2 moves left. I am not going to click on these because medium and strong can be super dangerous, but I do want to explore a little bit. So I'm going to head down here, even though I said I wouldn't. I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm going to just head down there and see what's there. Okay, so the good news is it looks like there might be a mountain pass here to get there. And there's a goody hut on the way, so I might actually change my mind. Okay, so now you can see that my first building has been built. And if I double click here on production, you'll see that I have +9 per material. I think before it was something probably +7. I don't know about plus. Oh, here it is. Logging camp gives me +1 production per material. Okay, so this was +8 before. Now it's +9. And because my base production of this site was 4, this is now 9 times 4 versus 8 times 4, all because of the logging camp. So that production helps me a ton. You'll notice now, and let me talk about another concept while I've got this open, this idea of unrest. This is a big problem. So the unrest is caused by taxes, which you always have some level of taxes, and the number of cities that you have. So the more cities you found, the higher this number goes. And basically, it affects everything. Well, I shouldn't say everything. It affects research. So you can see my research has been limited because it's losing 0.3. And my production is also losing 8.6, which is the bigger concern of everything here. Okay? So I want to deal with this unrest. How do you deal with the unrest? There's buildings. There's also characters, including your sovereign. Any character that's stationed here will drop this unrest. So if you wanted to get something built pretty quickly, you could sacrifice moving around the map and having one of your heroes stay here, or more than one, and that will drop the unrest. But we're going to mostly use buildings to take care of that. All right, now the other thing I want to talk about is you can see as I hit the research, we're only researching 0.8. That's less than 1. right? And that's really bad because if you go back to my research screen here, you can see it's going to take 11 turns, 84 turns. This one is 236 turns. So I need to remedy that right away. So I kind of forgot to talk about this. I should have done this a little bit earlier. I now have 56 mana. I'm way over what I needed. So what I want to do is go to my city and get rid of this enchantment because I only have one. If I had had two, I could have left this here. But I only have one. Get rid of that enchantment. Okay, you'll see the slot is empty now. And I got to go back to my spell book and pick this one. You want to do this as soon as possible. So I waited way too long. I forgot because I started with the +3 mana per turn. I reached this much quicker than I'm used to. So this city generates +2 research per turn, right? It's going to cost me 45 to cast, but there's no maintenance on it. And so my 56 here is going to drop, but that's okay because this one up here in the upper left-hand corner is going to change to be it'll change to be a 3, but then it'll drop to 2 point something because of the unrest, as I talked about. So I'm going to click on this, cast the spell, and watch there it is. So now you can see it's probably 2.9 or something, but there it is, close to 3. And now if I click on here, you'll see that's only going to take 4 turns, and that's going to take 28 turns and 79 turns. So it's a huge difference, and I want to get through a lot of these early techs pretty quickly. So grabbing that is a priority. Right, so now I'm going to have this restoration in 4 turns. Okay, now the other thing you can do about unrest is this tax rate. So on the upper left-hand corner here, it shows you your money, how much money you're making per turn, and your tax rate. And the tax rate creates the income, but it also affects your research and production by unrest. Watch my unrest of 21% drop when I turn this down. So if I turn this down to low, okay, now my unrest is only 13%. My production goes way up. My research goes up a little bit. But I'm now only making 0.2 gold per turn. And gold is pretty important for a lot of things, including rushing production and buying items for your heroes and as well as your units. So I'm going to keep it at low just for a little while because I really, really want these techs to come out quickly. And I do want to produce buildings a little bit faster. So I'm actually going to leave it on low, but I don't normally. I kind of leave it on normal for most of the time. All right, because there's nothing else up to do here, I'm going to keep going. Now, the next objective I have is to make another city, to make my second city. Okay, and then we'll talk about what's going to happen when the cities specialize. But I want to make another city, but even it looks like you could here, you can't. You have to be 7 away from your original city. So even though these yields are showing like, oh, put another city here, get a 3/3/3 city here, which would be super powerful, you can't do it. So these are basically wasted. They're of no value whatsoever. And I don't have anything else in sight of where I can build my next city. So I need to explore in both these directions, or in this direction too, possibly, to see where I can build my next city. I have to find yields like this that pop up. You cannot, it's not like civilization where a city can go anywhere. You must have a yield, these yield icons, and they must appear somewhere else in the map that's 7 away from your city. So I'm going to head down here. I can't take those guys by myself, but I'm going to head down. The other reason I'm avoiding combat, okay, there it is. So I just found a place. Now 2/5 is not bad, especially next to woods here. So I may end up going with that. I hope it's 7 away. It looks like it's 7 away. Okay. There's another reason why I don't want to fight, even though I could probably take these guys, is because I don't want to make a decision about whether, when I get to second level, I have to make a decision if Drake, my sovereign, is going to become an assassin or a fighter or a warrior or a magic user, whatever he's going to be. I don't want to decide because my decision is based on who I'm going to get when I get my 5 fame. Remember, as soon as this building is built, over here, as soon as this Tower of Dominion is built, I'm going to cross over the 3 threshold here. My next champion is at 3 fame, and I'm going to get a champion, and I want to see who I get, because you get to pick out of 2, but you don't get a pick of like 30 or 40 of them. So I'm going to avoid combat for that reason, but it is going to reduce my, leveling for a while. Okay, I don't think I can use that. I'm going to take a look, though. Yeah, so this requires plate mail proficiency. So that's a skill that I have to take when I level up. So this is of no use to me, just as this is no use to me until I become a mage. And of course, that's a duplicate. All right, so that didn't really help, but I did achieve something, which is I pick the next spot for my next city unless I see something more inviting. Now, I ended my turn next to these guys. That is a problem potentially, but see, I got lucky. They didn't attack me, but I would say, I don't know, 20% of the time they will. If you had a pioneer, which is like a settler in civilization, if you had a pioneer here, or even one of your armies, they would attack like 80 to 90% of the time, I think. I don't know what the actual stat is, but it's much more common. Okay, again, another book, and I want to see what this is. This is Spell Mastery. So again, whoever ends up being my mage, whether that's this guy or the next hero that I get to join me, I will use both of those on them. In the meantime, I'm just going to hang on to them. Okay, this is another week quest, so I definitely want to grab that. That's excellent. I'm glad I came down this direction. All right, and this is a guy who tells you a little riddle. Of course, never say this. Always pick, always do the quest. There's nothing but good from these quests here. All right, and you can read the quest on your own and answer that it's going to be a leech. So I'm going to click here, and that's going to give me another weapon. So I really, really, really didn't need that weapon. And there it is, Dagger of the Leech. So let's compare our weapons to see. Now, I crossed the fame threshold, which is good, because now I don't have to rely on that building to do it, because I completed a quest. It was a nice, easy quest. I got lucky. And so I'm going to get a hero before I take a look at this dagger. So let's see what happens. Oh, no. Yeah, okay. So this is what happens. This will happen throughout the game. Every time your fame reaches a new threshold, which gets higher and higher, right? It's proportioned, right? So the next one is going to be 50, I think. So it's going to take a little while to get there. All right. And I'm going to just click on the screen. I'm going to pick two guys. Okay. So this, you have to look at all their abilities to see whether you want them or not, right? So this is their spell. So if I decide to make them a mage, I would get this spell. This is a nice spell for enchanted hammers that adds +1 material to the city. That's great for production. They both have that, so that's not going to be a decider here. This one, though, this Ioneer Blood, look what this does. Minus 50% tactical spell mana cost. You do not want to make a mage out of this character, okay? I'm just not thrilled with this. It adds magic resistance and this thing called Guarded Strike. Neither one is very important to me, so that's not appealing. This, the Altarian Blood is important to me because it gives him rush, which is great, and 10% experience. And I'm definitely focused on getting my heroes as much experience as possible. This rescue's okay. I don't really use it that often. Like I said, I like this spell group. So I'm definitely going to take Inslow. So he appears on the map, and then you want him to join. Well, again, this is my play style. A lot of people say keep them separate, have them go around, explore the map, give them some armies, let them fight separately, because you're right, they will level a little bit faster. But as you remember, one of my traits for this guy, I don't know if it'll show up here. Yeah, it should. Right? Under skills is this, right? Plus 25% to the armor's experience, and that includes the other heroes. So that's a big, big plus to be with him. So if that kind of negates to some degree that penalty. So I'm going to group my heroes, even though a lot of people will tell you not to. Okay. And then I'm going to, there's nothing else I can do. Now I want to fight because I want to level these guys immediately as fast as I can. So I want to level these guys. And when I level them, I'm going to have to pick who they're going to become. And we'll talk about that decision soon. So I'm going to fight this guy over here. So let me take this goody hut on the way. Okay. Let's take a look. And I want to give... Right, I don't know what, let's see what he came with. Nothing good, I'm sure. So there's one hero, here's my other hero. So he came with a rusty sword, that's terrible. He did come with some nice leather armor. This is special, unique unit here. So I'm going to give him the one of these two. So I'm going to probably give him the leech one. Now I like the leech because it heals 3 points on melee hit, and taking damage is super, super important in these early battles. So I'm going to double click there, and then I don't need this rusty sword. I may give him this later, but for now I'm going to give him this Dagger of the Leech. It's a little stronger. It's got a 9 attack, but that +3 healing is super important. It only heals, you don't have to hit them. You don't have to kill them. Just by hitting them, every time you hit somebody, even on counterattack, and we'll explain what counterattack is in a minute, you heal 3. It's super powerful. So really nice, easy start. He also came with this, which increases maximum hit points by 2. But again, I'm going to reserve, this is just a healing potion, but they're going to reserve all 3 of these till we make that fateful decision coming up. Although I will do the +1 initiative. That's a great little item there. Okay, you can see my initiative is 37. His is 26. So I'll be going more often than him and sooner. Okay, there's 3 guys, but you can see their ranking there is weak. That means I can probably, and you can see mine is medium. So this already tells me I'm better than them. But I knew I could take them. I could probably have taken them earlier. 3 bandits is nothing. They're super easy. You can also see their attack and defense. So their attack is 18. They have a 0 defense, and they have 27 hit points, whereas we have 20 attack, 8 defense, and 52 hit points. Okay, and there's, I don't know what the 3 is. It's a good question. I don't know what that is. All right, so let's fight. So I'm just going to grab my guys. They still have 1 movement point left, you can see, as a group. So if I just right-click on them, that's going to start the battle. And this will give you another chance to say cancel if you wanted to. I also use auto-resolve a lot as I'm playing, particularly when I'm strong to weak, right? Or, you know, there's other ratings up here, really high ratings to medium or something. But it's risky, and you can also get wounded and things you don't want to have to happen. And it's also much more fun to do the battles ourselves. So let's do this battle. You'll see it'll go pretty quickly. Now, if I had spells, sometimes I have spells like slow, which slows the enemy or things like that. I will usually run away and try to let them come to me, right? Or if I have an archer back here, which we will soon have. But that's not the case here. So I'm just going to move up and I just right click next to them. I have to be next to them to attack, at least with this weapon, right? And then I'm going to right-click, and you'll see he missed. Okay. And then this guy, same thing. Now, you see he can't reach, right? But men have this special ability called Rush. That's why I took that race from my army. And so when I click Rush, I get to move a second time up to my full movement. So I'm going to go here, and then I'm going to attack. Okay, he did 2 damage. He also would have healed if he needed it, but he didn't. Now, notice I'm going again even before they go because my initiative is so high. So high initiative is super, super powerful. Hopefully I'll hit him this time. It probably would have been a good idea to gang up on one guy, but I'm just super confident in this battle, so I'm not worried about it at all. Now, I don't know if you noticed because it happened so fast. He took damage, then he counterattacked, which means he gets a free attack when they attack, and then he healed because of his sword, which was amazing. So I'm going to move this guy back up, my sovereign. Okay, he's dead. And then he's going to get another shot. Inslow. Oh, no, I got another shot. Oh, okay, it was my initiative. I wanted to show you the healing, but it's not going to happen. So, and now I didn't get it. I killed him. I was hoping I wouldn't kill him so that he could have healed. At the end of the battle, first of all, you can see I made a level, and then you can also see he's taken 9 damage, so he's got some damage, but there's the 3 enemies that are dead. So I got some money from this, from loot, and let's see what else happens. Okay, so once your character reaches 2nd level, you have to decide who's going to be the mage and who's going to be something else. But you always want to grab a mage early on. It's so powerful. So because I have, if you remember, if you click on my guy, I have the life, let me see if I can show you where it is. I took the spell category of life, which means it's got to be here. I don't know where it is, but anyway, I took life. It's got to be one of these, right? There it is, Life Apprentice. So then it doesn't show you here, but see, it unlocks a heal spell. And heal spells are super powerful early game like this. So I definitely want to, I'm going to make him the mage. The other guy had, I think, earth spells, and they're okay, and they're good for city, to help my cities produce, but they're not great in combat. It's not as powerful as having heal. So I'm going to make my sovereign be the mage. Okay. So I'm going to click mage. And then when my other character, Inslow, levels to 2nd level, I'm going to make him an assassin. I like these two. I think these are the two stronger to start with for your first 2 heroes. Okay, so now that I'm a mage, right, a couple of things have changed. So now that, remember, he's still 1st level, so he's nothing. So he's level 1. But if you click on my sovereign, he's level 2, and he's now specialized to be a mage. So now a couple of things. I can wear this robe, first of all, and I get minus 10% cost for tactical spells, which is great. That makes my spells a little cheaper to cast. Remember, mana up here is what you have to pay for every time you cast a spell. So I'm going to double click this, and you can see my guy is now equipped with this. I will eventually transition these 2 items, or at least the shield, to the other guy, he's going to be fighting more, but early on I'm still going to be fighting, so it's not a big deal. But I eventually will transition this to Inslow. Okay, and the other thing I want to do is I want to use this one, Spell Mastery, because he's the mage. So now I'm going to double click this, and his Spell Mastery just went up by 1. Okay, so that means he's going to, his spell, based on this number minus the spell defense of the target, when he shoots spells at people, will give you the percent chance that he's going to actually, the spell will get its full effect. Okay, I'm also going to take dodge because you really want a high dodge for mages, as they tend to get fired upon by archers. So I'm going to double click this. You'll watch his dodge will go up from 5 to 6. There it is. Okay. And then this is maximum hit points. Because Inslow is going to be fighting more than me, I'm going to double click. He came with this anyway. It was his. And you'll see his hit points will go up from 22 to 24. Okay. All right. He's not the assassin yet, but I will soon make him to be. All right. There's another group. I don't remember them here. I feel like they're the same group. And I could fight them, but he's injured. I think we'll be able to pull it off. So let's try it. Oh, this might be a bug. Oh, no, I'm done moving. That's what it is, 0. Okay. So I've got in my turn, which is nice because I'll heal a little bit for that turn. Okay, good. But remember, he's got that sword that's going to heal him, which is super powerful. So let's do this again. All right, and even though I'm a mage, I still have all that armor and everything, so I'm fine to keep fighting. It's just that I now have spells, which you can see here, not very useful right now. I need to get to the next level to get a better spell. All right, so we're just going to fight this out. Where is Inslow? Did I may have clicked on my guy by himself. Okay, this may be a big mistake, actually. Yep, I didn't bring Inslow with me. I don't know why. I must have clicked on just him, and he pulled out of the army. So listen, it's okay, but I really wanted Inslow to level, so this is a pain in the neck. I hope I can take these guys. I think I can. Well, if I keep missing, I won't. There we go. And it's actually much more important that your mage levels anyway, so I don't mind that this happened, but I never would have done this on purpose. Okay, I've got some loot. So now we can talk a little bit about crafting here. So if I go to this crafting menu, you'll be able to see the only thing I can make now is throwing knives, which I have no use for. But eventually, if I get enough of these ingredients, you see I just picked up this flawless iron. I will be able to make some of these, like this is really great. This is initiative +5. And this Cloak of Shadows is great. Add +10 dodge. I'll put that on my mage. Well, yes, I will. And the Assassin's Blade would be great for Inslow when he becomes a assassin. So that's why I like that group that I picked. Okay, but we can't do it yet. But as we keep gathering more and more items, we'll be able to do that. So they got separated because I just wasn't being careful. So if I move him off and then move him back on, they'll be together again. Just make sure when you select the army and not an individual in the army. See, like if I click this, that's what I did. And then I clicked, right? And I clicked him to go fight, and then he pulls out of the army. But I want them to be together for now. All right, that's the end of my turn. All right, I got that first tech. It took a long time. And now I can decide what I want to do. And what I think I want to do... Yeah, I'm going to jump around a little bit. I don't want this just yet, but I do want to get civics because there's something here called the bell tower, which will reduce my unrest. That's really important. So I'm going to take that. And it's cheap, right? It's only 4 right now. Okay, let's get a Scooty Hut, see what we get. We've been really lucky here. Okay, this is not great, but actually this is good. So this does 1 damage extra to yourself. Sorry, not extra, but this does 1 damage per action to you. You take a damage, but you do 3 extra attack. And because he's got this built-in healing from this Dagger of the Leech, it's going to be great. Because every time he hits, yeah, he's going to take 1 damage, but he's going to heal 2 more from this. So it's a nice, perfect combo of items there to make him even stronger. So you can see his attack value went up now to 12. Okay. So that's a great item. There's more cities. I may explore this a little bit. I really want to level him, but because I may change my mind and make my second city way down here. Yeah, 2-4 is good. Not as good as 2-5. And this 2-5 comes with a clay pit. So this is much more stronger up there. So I think I'll stick to my original plan. Okay, they're done. I'm going to go get those archers. So I want to go complete that quest now that I have him. So I'm going to grab this goody hut. Just let the turns run by. By the way, I should be watching my capital because in theory, these wolves could take out my capital. Now, my capital does have militia in there, but I'm going to build some next. But that is a little bit dangerous. Okay, so they went next to us. All right, so I'm going to grab the goody hut first. That's not a great item if you want to take a look at that. It's a 12 attack, but I don't like the -2 initiative. Although it's good against beasts, so we're fighting wolves or something. I might decide to equip this. But it's also two-handed. You can see that in the upper right-hand corner. That means I can't use a shield, and I'm not a big fan of that. All right, so I'm going to fight these guys because I really want to level Inslow. Oh, I did it again. I don't know why. I want to make sure the army is selected, not an individual guy. Yeah, they should fix that to default that way. Okay. No? Yeah, that's both of us. Okay, there it is. I guess I did it right before. All right, and this should be very easy. Okay, he's going to move. Then he's going to use this rush ability and watch him heal. Actually, he took 1 damage and healed 1. Or at least he should have if the thing's working, right? It's hard to say. All right, let's see. So he's at 30. Oh, he's fully? No, he's not fully healed. He is at 20 hit points. So he should be at 22 if this is working. So let's see if it's working after he goes. Okay. Here he goes. Okay, so now he's at 24 hit points. No, I'm sorry. He's at 20 hit points. So he should go down 1 to 19 and then up 3 to 22. He should end up at 22. Let's see if it works. If he hits. Okay, let's see if it worked. And nope, it didn't. Did you see that? Okay, I just made a level, so we got to talk about this. But if you notice, there's a bug. The Berserker thing is either not working at all, or it's not doing 1 damage. So anyway, so I made a level. So there's a couple of decisions to make here. This early heal, see if I go up in this life discipline here, that would be really powerful to have that heal. And I'm probably going to go in that direction. The other thing to do very early is to take this, which is knowledge. That gives me plus 25% more experience. And that's probably the smart thing to do at this point. But I will pick it up very quickly. Another strategy I do is go right for this because this is super OP. Really powerful, is summoning. The summoning track is super powerful. So a lot of times I will take this as my first one and then immediately take this one because that gives me something very, very powerful. But I'm going to go with my heal because heal is super, super important. And of course, Inslow leveled, so now I have to pick a class for him, and I'm going to pick an assassin's class. It's one of my favorite classes. Okay. All right, my production now. I don't need this building at all, and I said to you that would probably be the case. Oh, I'm not building anything. That building that we built, it did put +1 growth, and it did move me up to 15 fame, so it's definitely helping. But I really didn't need it that soon. Okay, so let's build here. No, not build. We're going to train some early units. Okay, I definitely want to pioneer really fast, but I'm really worried about these wolves here. I'm going to train the militia first. That's going to give me an extra unit, but then I'm going to do a pioneer right away. Notice I can't train 2 in a row because I don't have enough population. I knew that was going to be a problem. All right, and then after that, I'm probably going to train the second militia. So there's my queue. You can build up a queue here. And for buildings, this workshop will also give me more production, but I do also want to reduce. So this building here and this cleric will also make my unrest drop, which gives me more production. So both very important buildings. I'm going to wait and see what happens, how the situation changes. Okay. All right. So I got that research, and I'm thinking I'm going to be getting shards very soon. I'm going to take this one. Okay. Wow, we've been lucky. This is super powerful. So this collar can take control of a beast. And if I can find them, it's hard to find on this map because early on it's mostly bandits. But if I can find a really tough bear, which is one of my favorite creatures to use with this, I can actually get the bear to fight for us. So this has been an amazing, amazing turn, a game for the goody huts. I've been getting incredibly powerful goody huts here. All right. I think I'm going to bypass everything. I want to get to those archers right away. This is a pretty, I don't know, not a great place for a city. I changed my mind, but I like I really want to make a research-centric place, and it's the only thing that has 2 essence. Nothing else in my territory, I think, has 2 essence. So I'm tempted to put a city there. Okay, so there's my militia. I normally would send them right out to meet me. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put them back in here. Just to protect that, and I'm going to move these guys up. I'd really like to level again. I don't know if I could take on 4 Darklings. Probably could. Before I fight these guys, I'd like to level again. So yeah, let's do that. Okay, I think I can. And again, it's super, super powerful to have that leech sword. Okay, we missed. By the way, if you try to use the collar on something that can't have the collar, if I click this and click on him, it says target creature is not valid. But that's basically how you would use an item, is you just click on it. Same thing here if you want to use a healing potion. It will take your turn, though. Right? It will take up your turn. Oh, how do I undo it? I just click it again. Okay, yeah, whatever. Oh, great. We got him on first shot. Okay. Now he can take some damage, but the counterattack's going to heal. Well, it didn't heal him because he didn't take damage, but... Okay, so he's not healed now. Wow, I miss a lot. Okay, this. Good. There he goes, healing 3. He should only be healing 2, but there's the bug. Okay, those guys were easy. I don't know if we leveled. Nah, we didn't. We got 6 gold and we got a little more... Oh, and if we click... Oh, so now, because they had like a little layer here, when I go onto that layer, I will actually gain an extra fame. So the more you do, the closest we're going to get to the next hero, which is really powerful. All right, so let's put him there. All right. We're going to keep walking. We're going to grab another goodie hut. But we're going to finish this quest. It's really our first quest other than another one. So I took shard harvesting because eventually I need these things. These are all the various shards can be built on to give your spells more power and also to give you more mana. You can see I'm at 44 mana right now. It's this. Thank God for that +3 that I took. Very powerful. I'm going to go back to mining. I want production. This is going to give me +1 production per material just for that tech, I believe. And then I might go to construction. We'll see what happens. Okay, I'm going to grab the goodie hut. Okay, this is pretty good too, if I remember. Let's take a look. It is +2 defense. So I'm going to give that to... Probably should give it to the Sovereign, but I think I'll give it to him. Because he doesn't have a shield. Okay, that'll give him a little more defense. He doesn't need it as much, but we'll see what happens. Now, I probably should fight all these guys because I'd really like to level up before I fight these guys. They're kind of tough, although I don't know. We're pretty good shape now. I think we'll be all right. But anyway, let's take a look. Okay, you get the idea. Now, see, there's my healing spell that I just picked up. So if we start to lose and take a little damage, I can use that healing spell and really turn the tide of this battle, which is why it's so important to take early. All right, well, we have no problems here. So his counterattack just healed him. It's so powerful, that dagger. Good, he gets to go again and heal 3, so that's great. And of course you heal every turn a little bit. I think it's 1 per turn or something. Okay, so Inslow is the next level. Now, so this is the path I'm going to take. This is really important. This gives a lot of critical damage. And he has, I will give him a weapon, he doesn't have it right now, that adds even more to his critical strike. Critical strike means you do like double damage. It's super powerful, which I really love. But the first thing I'm going to do is take this potential, which is 15 experience. So I'm really focusing on getting as much experience as possible here. Okay, I want to get this quest done. So I mean, I could wait a little longer, but I'm not going to bother. So I'm going to go for this goodie hut. Okay, just a sharp axe, nothing useful. And let's see if I can take this. I'm medium and they're medium. This will be a little bit tough. Plus he's going to go in a little injured. So let's see what happens. Okay. And when I complete this quest, not only will I get a more of this fame, which will move me closer to my new hero, I will also get a free unit if you remember the quest. So please don't click this. You want to do that. All right. So I could back up and heal him, but I don't think I'm going to do that. I think we can handle this. Now, there's the leader. He's the toughest of them. It's good to get him first than these other guys. Although, because he might be out of range, it might be actually valuable to just team up. Yeah, I think we'll do that. We're going to team up on this guy way over here. So I'm going to go over here. There is a little zone of control, so if you're next to a guy, you can only move one. So you don't want to go there right away. So I'm going to put him over here, because he's going to take him a full turn to get to us, and this will get one guy out of the way, hopefully. All right, it didn't work, but... Good. All right, that's what I wanted to have happen, because now he's a little more healed. And he's going to heal again right now. Okay, that's exactly what I wanted to have happen. Okay, good. Yeah, I think we'll stay here. It'll probably take another turn, though they're going to start throwing daggers. Let's see. Oh, great. All right, I think we've got this in hand. And with my initiative, wow, I took two guys out. Mage is doing damage. Okay, so now we're going to focus on the leader here, because he can really do some damage if we let him. And these guys will not be too bad to deal with. Now, if we fall behind here, I can always heal him, which is why that heal spell is so powerful. But that's going to heal him 3. Okay. All right, this is a piece of cake. So, nice and easy, and we're going to pick up a free unit here. All right, and got it. Okay. It might not be that easy if you don't have the stuff that I have. I have a lot of defensive equipment, and I've got these great 2 weapons. So, you know, be careful. It might not go that easily for you. Okay, so now here's the big decision. I am going to go, I think, with this 25% experience. So that's super, super important. That's on top of what I already have. So I'm going to level super quickly, which is really important for mages because there's so much important things to do down these trees. Okay. Now I want to head back because I want to finish that quest. I can't, not all quests work this way, but I've got to go back to this quest to finish it. I'm also going to go back for that medium quest there. There's no other quests here. A goody hut's a goody hut. I'm not that concerned about it. So I'm going to basically set these guys to move and we'll just pass a lot of turns. Although I will attack anything that I see on the way. So maybe I will watch. Okay. I'm still building that. Oh no. Yeah. I'm building the Pioneer. So we're going to, and I'm going to stop the video when we get to our second city. I think it's enough to get you going. And then maybe I'll make a follow-up video. Okay. All right, so my Pioneer just came out. I heard that. So there's my Pioneer. You got to be careful. If you end up next to these wolves, they will die. And so, oh, they might make it to here, but I can't see what else is here. So I really don't want to risk that. So I'm just going to put them in here and wait a few turns. It's kind of, I'm kind of sacrificing a little bit doing that and waiting, but we're waiting for these guys to get there and clear that area. All right, so these guys are right on the way. So I'm gonna send my my Pioneer down this way anyway. I'll make sure it's all clear. So let's kill these guys. Now, I think I'm gonna try what I showed you before, although I may restart if it doesn't work. I may do the auto resolve here. I think we can handle it. So if I do the auto resolve, right, it'll do this, but I have to show you this anyway. Yeah, I didn't take any damage, but sometimes I will take damage here. But it's nice for a nice easy battle. Why go through all that detail? So the battle's over, I get experience. A lot of times you'll see, though, you take damage and sometimes even wound your guy, and a wound is not good. It's a permanent, semi-permanent trait that is negative, like a weakness. Okay, now I'm going to go check with my crafting. Did I get anything else I can do? No, so I can only craft this right now. All right, we're going to keep heading up in this direction. Hit the end turn. Okay, so I built my second militia. I think those 2 militia could protect this guy pretty well. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to put them here. And I'm going to grab those 2 guys. Okay. And they get one more move anyway, and there's nobody in front of them, so they're clear to get through. I did leave my city a little defenseless, but that's okay. All right, so I want to take these guys out. Next turn. And yeah, so if your turn is ever hovering yellow like this, that means there's more to do, which means my city here in the upper left-hand corner, which I can just click on like that, needs production. So never click the turn if it's yellow. That means either you haven't finished moving somebody or there's a production queue that's empty. All right. So I am going to build a cleric because that's going to give me unrest of -5, but it's also going to give me +2 fame. Okay. It's going to take a long time, but that's all right. Okay, so now you can see the end turn is green. By the way, you need to set that. So if you go into settings here, see this auto turn, it defaults to on. You want to turn this off. Otherwise, you're losing control of stuff. Eventually, you'll want to do quick move because you might get bored. But this thing you want to turn off, and the rest you can... Oh, and auto saves. I like to... Autosave is selected by default, but this is something like 4 or 8. I like to set this to 0 or 1. Like 1 is fine. I don't know what the difference is, but 1 means it'll... Oh, and by the way, you probably notice my battle's going a little quicker. I have this on fast. The default is normal, which is fine. In fact, I'll leave it like that for now. But you definitely want this autosave to be 1 and this auto turn to be off. Super, super important. And of course, if you want to manually save your game every once in a while. All right, so next turn. All right, so these guys are going to take them on. Do I think I can handle them? They're a little stronger than those other guys. I'm not going to risk it. I really don't want to get a wounded hero here. Although maybe it would have been fun to show you. Yeah, it's going to be super easy. Now, I'm on a not so hard setting. I usually play on the highest difficulty setting. I'm hoping the AI will get better and that will change. But even at the hardest setting, I don't think the game is that much of a challenge. Now, you got to play Iron Man, right? You got to not load saves unless you did something stupid like you move somebody next, you thought you had an extra movement point, you didn't, and you moved somebody next to a creature and you lost the Pioneer, just a dumb thing like that. Of course, reload for that. But other than that, I try not to reload to make the game a challenge so that I have to think about my decision before I go in every battle. All right, so the assassin, so once I actually like hit points. Hit points are super strong, but for the assassin, I really want to get this critical stuff going down this path. So I'm going to start with this precision. I'm going to move down this path, vital strike 1, 2, 3, and 4. It makes him super powerful, and when I give him the other weapon eventually, he will get a lot of crit hits. I'm still leaving him on the leech though because that's more powerful. Okay, and so these guys are going to pass us, but I'm going to, because it's peaceful here now, I'm going to take the militia and I'm going to move them with us. So now I have a super powerful army, and I think I can fit one more here. So I can tell you right now, one of the first bugs they're going to fix is there's usually a borderline. I think I can only have 4 armies right now. So there's usually a borderline here that's going to show you like you can only fit 4. And as you research more technologies, these will grow so you can fit as many as 9. But initially you can only fit 4 or 5. I think it's 4. And it will tell you. So in fact, if I try to put this guy in here, you have to watch what'll happen. Right, see that 2 comes up. So you can see there's 2 armies in that spot. And this army only has 4 because that's the maximum it can have. If I could have held 5, that Pioneer would have also appeared to join my army. Okay, but there she goes. Okay. All right, turn is green. It's good to go. I'm going to kill these wolves so I can stop worrying about this. So I'm going to build my second city here. This is a very strong position. It's a 5 production. The food is weak. That's true. But it's next to woods and it's next to a clay pit. The other option that I could do is I could build what's called an outpost here. The outpost is not a city and it would block a city from being built here. But if I click outpost, I can then make any resources within 2 attached to this city. So I could get this clay pit to boost my production for this city here. That will only be true until my next city that I build, that if it's closer than this. So for example, if I build a city over here and it's closer, it will switch. The outpost will now belong to a new city, which I don't love that feature. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to actually build a city and use that for my new city here. Okay? And so I'm going to click on the resource. To build a resource, you just click on it and hit build. I'm going to do that first, actually. And then I will be able to get the benefit of this, but only after I put it in the build queue, as you can see here. All right, and that's about it for that. So I'm going to keep going for just a few more turns to show the end of the quest. These guys are super weak. I'm sure I can just auto fight these guys, You can see how much the differential is there. So they did some damage. You saw my guys flash there, and we'll take a look at what damage they did. So this militia party took 10 damage. That's fine. Okay, I got a whole bunch of stuff, including a potion, a minor mana potion. So let's see if crafting has changed. It has not. It's still only... but to craft, you just click this. It'll go in your inventory. I don't like these. I don't use them. But when I get some of these better things, that's what's going to happen. And then you can just equip them like you equip everything else. I'm going to grab the... Oh, that's strong. I'm not going to grab that one. I want to finish this quest. Okay, so to show you what happens in the completion of a quest, my fame is going to go up, and I'm going to get the reward, which in this case happens to be a unit. Sometimes it could be a weapon, or it could be money. But I'm going to... Quests are really good. You want to be doing a lot more than I've been doing here, because they give you important things, and they raise your fame a little bit. So let's see what happens. Okay, so they said thank you. My fame went up by 10. That's super important. And I got this extra unit, which will not fit in my army because my army can only hold 5 guys. I also made a level because I got some experience. So I am going to go right down this path. This is the summons path. It's super powerful. Summoning these guys gets you an extra unit in battle. They do things like slow guys. This guy will knock everybody over. He's really OP. So this is, if you want to dominate in a game, you definitely want to mage with following down this path here of summoning. I'm going to start here, which isn't going to help me at all, but eventually it will. Okay, now you see I have the clay resource here, which I don't know if I noticed before. Oh, I should have pulled him out. All right, let's go like this. So I really want, my city will not expand that quickly, so I really want to build another pioneer. In fact, I'm going to prioritize that by sliding this over. So you can change the priority here by just dragging it over to be closer, and now they're building the pioneer. But I really want to capture this. That'll give me an extra production as well. So I'm going to build an outpost and put it somewhere over here. The other thing is that you'll see this guy's unrest is really bad, and you'll see the very bottom there, it says territory not contiguous, to the capital. He's getting an extra hit with an extra 15%. So look at this, 34% unrest. It's really going to reduce his ability, the city's ability to do anything. So another thing that I can do when I build this outpost is if I put it close enough, it will join these two, or at least get them close to joining each other. They will also expand from certain buildings, but I really want an early goal is to get these two pink influence areas to touch or overlap, so that part of my unrest penalty at the bottom there will go away. That's really, really important. I don't always get that opportunity with all cities, but I want to try to do that. Okay, so I think everybody's done. So why is this not green? Everybody's got something built. So, okay, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm probably missing something here. All right, now, what I want to do is I want to get rid of this damage. Not that the damage is the problem. He'll heal, but I want to get rid of this militia because he's too... I only can fit 4 people, and I want these archers. They're a little more powerful. But I'm going to send him to go exploring, which is what I should have done earlier. In fact, one of the things I like to build, which I didn't, in this city, if you hit train... if I hit train here, is this explorer. Although I don't believe this is really the case. In theory, they do not get attacked as often by creatures if they end up next to them. I don't really find that to be true, but that is the theory. So now I'm going to move this archer onto here to join that army. And so now I've got this militia. I've got these archers, these new archers, which are really nice. And my 2 heroes. I can easily handle a medium quest as well as this place here, which I want to destroy. Well, another cool thing is these layers their armies will get more powerful over time, and they will also release weaker versions, but wandering armies. In fact, that one of the guys we killed may have come from here. So they keep spawning every 15, 10, 20 turns, more armies that will harass your cities and harass your people. So you really want to eliminate them if possible. So, but first I'm going to grab this quest, see what it says. Okay, rats. And it's way over here. So had I done that earlier, I could have completed both quests here. And there's no rating on this one, which means you can send a hero to do this. It's really easy. Okay, but I do see another quest, but I want to fight these guys, so we'll do that next turn. I'm going to auto-resolve this. There it goes. Nobody got hurt. And then I'm going to step on it. That's going to get rid of it. It's going to give me +2 fame and some item, which is this, which is +3 hit points whenever an enemy is killed. Okay, wow, that's super powerful. So I am going to give that to Inslow, I guess, for now. I may give it to one of my units. You can give these things to units. In fact, I could change this unit to become an axeman. Watch what happens. Right now he's a sword, he's a club. He has a club. But if I give him this sharp axe, see his attack is 18. Let's see what happens. It just went up to 36. So I can use items and equip them to units and actually change the kind of units they are. He'll now have the traits of an axeman. But if they die in combat, you will lose any of these items. Now, I don't really care about the sharp axe too much. This one might have even been a little bit better. No, this one has a crit chance. But anyway, you can do that, and it's really powerful. Just be ready to lose those items if you lose that unit. Okay, he's going to keep going. Okay, so let me get this pioneer out. Ooh, a new city location up there. I don't know if that's 7 away. We'll have to see. Okay, so I'm gonna stop this video super soon. Oh, this is nice. So if you find these are lost libraries, and they give you immediate tech. You'll see as I walk on them. They're going to boost this mining tech from 9 seasons to whatever. Let's see. Let's do it. Okay, so my mining is 8 seasons away. Watch what happens as I click on this. +15 research. So now it's only 4 away. Okay. This is a warg hut, so these are good if you have a city near here or if you put an outpost here because you can use them to make your units move faster. You can arm them with wargs. I prefer horses. I don't remember if I had horses here. I don't think I do. Okay. And this is a shard. We haven't seen one of these yet, but that's a shard. It's a magic shard. So again, it's outside my influence, but once it's in my influence, either through an outpost or through a city's influence expanding there, I can build this and it will produce mana. So this would go up to +4 per turn, for example. And you can upgrade them in the future as well. Let's grab this week quest, see what this is. So escort her. Okay. So I like this one early because it gives me like a free scout. I end up using her as a scout. Okay. And she won't move with my army because my army's full, right? But it's okay as long as you're careful and she doesn't end up next to anybody else. We'll move her on her own. We'll follow her. And then we'll get her down here. But right before I get there, I have to get somebody out of my army, put her in the army before we go there to complete the quest, okay? So we're going to keep following her there. I just want to show you the outpost before we do anything else. Okay, so there's a lot of good stuff down here. In fact, this is, I believe that's the same quest with more archers. So I think we could get 2 archers if we did that quest. Okay, now this is super dangerous. I don't want her to be next to these bandits, right? So I'm going to move her like this way. Okay, but it's nice because you can kind of use her as a scout. All right, I want to end the scenario here. Now, in reality, I would probably go up here and grab this shard because I really am low on mana. Or I might even actually use this pioneer to build a city there. But I want to demonstrate how this would work for you. So I want to connect these 2 cities, and I want this to be in my influence. So an outpost will make an influence 2 away. So if I count from here, 1, 2, I would put it right here. Okay, actually right there is just as good. I don't think it matters. Yeah, this is just as good, so I'll do it here. So when I click this outpost, watch what's going to happen, right? It expanded my influence. I now can click on this and build it. So you'll see it's now in my build queue. There it is. Okay. And I've gotten these guys overlapping. It won't show up this turn. It'll probably show up next turn. See, but watch. So that territory not contiguous is going to disappear next turn. So I know somebody's not producing. Okay. So let's just do that. So we're going to build a logging camp. This is, again, is unique building because I'm next to woods. Okay. By the way, you can, let me get rid of this. You can decide where it goes normally when you build a bit. Like if I build a bell tower, see, I can click which square to put it in, which is usually not that important, except if I'm a diagonal to a river or a diagonal to woods, I'm not. But if I was, I want to pick a spot next to the woods so it'll become not diagonal to the woods, then I can build that. So if you ever think you're next to woods, right? I'll place this anyway. But let me go back and build the, sorry, let me go back and build the, oh, now see what happened? Okay, so I messed myself up. Because I canceled that, it now thinks that I'm not next to woods, and it took it away from me. I don't know if that's a bug or whatever, but it took away that's the building that was going to help me add production. So you don't want to do that. I was doing it to show you this, but don't do that, right? So this would be a great example of when I'd load a save because it was just a stupid thing that happened. So it's a bug, really. You could call it a bug. It took the woods away, so now it doesn't think I'm next to the woods. So until I snake a building here, in other words, until I build a building, let me show you what I mean. Until I build a building like this workshop here, yeah, maybe there. If I build it there, then I will be able to build, let's see if it happened. No. I'll be able to build that lumber mill, but I can't now. So basically, don't do what I did, because that's a problem. Potentially, I won't be able to ever build one here unless I can snake my way to these woods, but I think I can. But I'll probably do a reload anyway. All right, but anyway, that's how you build an outpost. Outposts can be upgraded. They can get make you defend better in that zone of control. You can even add one to its influence range, but that's a late tech, so I'm not going to be doing that. But that's all they do. They just extend your territory, and they give you access to resources that you normally wouldn't have. I don't usually build them this early. I usually focus on getting my 3 or 4 cities as quickly as possible before the other empires do the same. This is neat. I can see this corner here now. This is a special region, a wildland or something like that. Okay, and I'm exploring here. So, my next step is to build another city, probably over here. That's not a great spot. I think there was a decent spot here. 2-4 is not bad. But again, none of these have a lot of food. This would be nice. Not great, but good for science because it's got the 2 essence there. So I've got a lot to think about. But that's how you start the game. You're going to keep producing armies. You're going to keep producing tech. It should give you a nice head start on how the game basically works. So if you are playing for the first time and you know how to do anything here, including some advanced tips I kind of threw in there, this would give you a nice head start into how to play the game. And if you just follow along and keep going, I may make a second video to take you through maybe the mid to intermediate game. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to subscribe and like, and look for some more videos coming your way on the same game. Hope you enjoyed it.